We love sharing history, trivia, and lesser-known facts about all of the Disney parks. And today we zoom in on Main Street USA in the Disneyland Resort in California.
As one of the 5 original lands that opened in 1955 with Disneyland, Main Street USA has a long, interesting history. Construction began on Disneyland in 1954, and the park opened in 1955, roughly a year later. The land was originally very flat and full of orange groves. The berm around the park and the waterways didn't even exist. The waterways for the park were dug out, and then the earth from them became the berm, or the ridge that circles the park and carries the Disneyland Railroad.
The one and only entrance to Disneyland is through the turnstiles just outside the berm. Originally gated by ticket booths and a chain-link fence, the Floral Mickey is only slightly changed from its opening day appearance and still greets guests today. Walt is said to have designed this area in front of the Floral Mickey to replicate the experience of going to the movies. You buy a ticket and enter the lobby in this case represented by the red paver, red carpet, and the opening Mickey Mouse floral face. Interestingly, the Floral Mickey has over 4,500 flowers in the face, and the flowers get changed out seasonally. Then from the lobby, guests enter through the tunnels with posters on each side which represent the movie previews. As a side note, Walt is quoted to have said that the elaborate, expensive tunnel entrance design was not money well spent. Once through those tunnels, you have fully transported into the movie, which is of course the town square area of Main Street, USA.
The Disneyland Railroad is the first attraction guests see when they enter the park. An opening day attraction, it remains very popular among guests today. Walt loved trains. From the original Mickey Mouse Park theme park idea he had planned across from his Burbank studio to the Disneyland Park we know today, a train looping the park was always included in any theme park plan Disney had. Walt actually created a separate company called Wetlaw and funded the 2 train engines through the corporation. Needing even more funding, Walt partnered with the Santa Fe Railroad as a sponsor to build the attraction to his standards. The ride actually opened as the Santa Fe and Disneyland Railroad. The sponsorship ended in 1974. Interestingly, guests were allowed to use the Santa Fe Rail Pass instead of a Disney ticket to ride the train up until 1974. The Disneyland Railroad originally had 2 tracks so trains could pass each other, and it only had 2 train stations, Main Street and Frontierland. Today there are 4 stations: Main Street, New Orleans, which used to be Frontierland, Toontown, and Tomorrowland Station. The passengers actually used to be facing forward on the passenger cars. It wasn't until the 1958 edition of the Grand Canyon Primeval World diorama that many of the seats were changed to face right to enjoy it. The diorama includes the park's only taxidermic animals in lifelike poses, and it is the longest continuous diorama in the world. The Lily Bell parlor car that you sometimes see running as the last car pulled by a CK Holiday locomotive was originally the Grand Canyon Observation Coach. It was only renamed the Lily Bell and converted to a traditional ornate Victorian-era parlor car in 1974. Lillian Disney herself oversaw the design, and the car has a reputation for carrying only VIPs. In fact, one of the first VIPs to ride was Emperor Hirohito of Japan in 1975.
The idea, design, and funding for what we know as Disneyland is a years-long story and involves many talented people. Funding for Disneyland was lacking in the years leading up to the 1955 opening day. Roy Disney was rejected by many potential financial backers. He had yet another pitch meeting coming up with ABC in New York. Walt knew this pitch needed to go well and that the presentation images needed to tell a story. At the last minute, Walt convinced his friend Herb Ryman, an artist that had worked on major motion pictures at MGM Studios, to sketch the presentation map of Disneyland. Walt and Herb were said to have worked all day and night over a weekend to finalize the drawing. Roy used it in his presentation to ABC and was able to secure the funding they needed. Unsurprisingly, this original drawing by Herb Ryman has become very famous and in 2017 was sold by the Von Eaton Galleries, an auction house, to an anonymous buyer for $700,000. After the original sketch, Herb Ryman became an Imagineer and worked on many other Disneyland ride concepts and renderings. Not all of the plans drawn in his original sketch came to reality. Many fans would be surprised to learn that Main Street had planned to have a circus, a church, and a haunted house. But much of Main Street does match up to the original drawing. Herb even helped design the more detailed rendering plans for the Main Street buildings. Additionally, he went on to help design great moments with Mr. Lincoln that would later occupy the Opera House. He was inducted into the Disney Legends program in 1990, and he shares a window with two other talented Disney artists, John Hench and Peter Ellenshaw. Their window, which simply states Plaza School of Art Instructors, is located on Plaza Street, right next to Main Street, above Main Street Photo Supply Company.
The Opera House in the town square area of Main Street is an original from the opening day in 1955. It was one of the first buildings to be constructed. The interior, and how it's been used since 1955, has varied greatly over the years. Many people know it was used as an actual sawmill during Disneyland's construction up until opening day. It wasn't until the 1960s that it was used for guest entertainment, first displaying the real movie set from Babes in Toyland, and then as the headquarters of the Mickey Mouse Club. Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is actually not an opening day attraction and debuted at Disneyland only after it ran for a few years at the New York World's Fair. At the time of its creation, the animatronics developed by the Disney Imagineers for Mr. Lincoln were considered very advanced. Surprisingly, the miniature limestone capital model in the lobby of the Opera House was actually purchased by Walt in 1955, long before the idea for Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln came about in the 1960s. And we are still marveling at its detail today.
City Hall on Main Street was also open on opening day, was home to the Disneyland Publicity Department. It now houses guest relations, and you can get maps and special occasion pins. Another Disney legend, Harper Goff, drew the design for City Hall and based it off of the county courthouse in his own hometown of Fort Collins, Colorado. You can easily see the resemblance to the original. Originally, Goff had an office upstairs in City Hall along with other Disney Imagineers. Goff is honored by a window with his name in Adventureland just past the bazaar. What some fans don't know is that the eucalyptus trees behind City Hall are original and were planted in 1910 as a windbreak for the orange tree groves. Now they stand as a division between Main Street and Adventureland. These trees actually led to a redesign. Tomorrowland and Adventureland locations were swapped as the trees made a more fitting backdrop to Adventureland.
The Firehouse on Main Street opened with the park July 17, 1955, although it was one of the few buildings to be completed before opening day. It served as Walt's apartment during the final months leading up to the opening day, as Walt wanted to be close to the project and make sure everything was progressing on time. And the drive from his home to the park at this time was a long one. Although the apartment isn't open to the public, many people have seen the red ornate Victorian decor inside. What you may not know is that Walt's wife Lillian, along with art director Emile Curie, designed it. Emile Curie was a famous movie set director, and even won an Academy Award for Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. He also helped design and decorate countless things at Disney, including the most secret and exclusive places like the interior for Disney's Firehouse apartment, but also the Royal Suite, which is a Disney apartment in New Orleans Square, and Club 33. Emile also purchased the lampposts we see today along Main Street. He is said to have found them in Baltimore and Philadelphia, as those cities were replacing their 100-year-old gas lamps, and he paid only pennies per pound for them. He also sourced 2 real French Army cans we see on either side of Town Square. Emile had a huge impact on Main Street, and we see his name above the market house in the words Interior Decorator, along with the image of the famed oil lamp that always burns from Walt's apartment window that he helped design.
Stay tuned with us for more information on the history of Main Street USA. Thanks so much for watching, everyone! Here at Main Street USA Studios, we love providing unique content on all aspects of the Disney parks. Let us know if we missed anything in the comments below, and if you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe.